All right, let's dive in.
Number 6, the SS Central America, the Ship of Gold. In September 1857, the SS Central America, a side-wheel steamship, is sailing from Panama to New York carrying something extraordinary, over 30,000 pounds of gold. That's roughly 15 tons of pure gold freshly mined during the California gold rush and being transported to East Coast banks. Then hurricane season hit. The ship encountered a Category 2 hurricane off the coast of the Carolinas. For 2 days, the crew and 578 passengers fought desperately to keep the ship afloat, bailing water, throwing cargo overboard, doing everything they could to survive. But on September 12, 1857, the SS Central America sank, taking 425 people and all that gold straight to the bottom of the Atlantic, 8,000 feet down. The loss of all that gold actually contributed to the Panic of 1857, a major financial crisis, because banks were counting on that shipment to shore up their reserves. For over 130 years, the treasure sat undisturbed, and people assumed it would never be found. Enter Tommy Thompson, a deep-sea treasure hunter who spent years researching the wreck's location using historical records and advanced technology. In 1988, his team finally located the SS Central America, and what they found was absolutely insane. Gold bars stacked like firewood, thousands of gold coins scattered across the seafloor, and the crown jewel, a single gold nugget weighing 80 pounds, one of the largest gold nuggets ever discovered, sitting in the ship's safe like it was waiting to be deposited at a bank that no longer exists. The recovered treasure was valued at over $150 million, and that's just what they brought up. Experts believe there's still several tons of gold down there. But here's where the story gets messy. Tommy Thompson got into massive legal battles with investors, the insurance companies that had paid out claims in 1857, and even the federal government over who owned the treasure. Thompson eventually went into hiding for years, refusing to reveal where he'd hidden some of the gold coins. He was arrested in 2015 and held in contempt of court, and as of recent reports, he's still refusing to cooperate. So the SS Central America treasure exists, we know where it is, we've recovered some of it, but the legal nightmare surrounding it proves that sometimes finding treasure is the easy part. Keeping it is where things get complicated.
Number 5. Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes, the treasure Spain got back. On October 5, 1804, Spain and Britain aren't officially at war, but tensions are high. The Spanish frigate Nuestra Señora de las Mercedes is sailing from South America to Spain, loaded with silver and gold coins, treasure from the Spanish colonies. Off the coast of Portugal, 4 British warships intercept the Spanish fleet and demand they surrender. The Spanish refuse. The British open fire. The Mercedes explodes, likely because the British cannonballs hit the ship's powder magazine, and it sinks in minutes, killing 275 people, including women and children who were passengers. The treasure, tons of silver and gold coins, goes down with the ship, 1,100 meters below the surface. For 200 years, the wreck sat undisturbed. Then, in 2007, an American treasure hunting company called Odyssey Marine Exploration announced it found a shipwreck they coded Black Swan and had recovered 17 tons of coins, about 594,000 silver and gold pieces worth an estimated $500 million. They flew the treasure to the United States and tried to claim it as salvage, but here's the problem. Spain suspected this was the Mercedes, a Spanish naval vessel that they argued was sovereign property protected by maritime law. The Spanish government sued in U.S. federal court, and the legal battle lasted 5 years. In 2012, the court ruled in Spain's favor. The reasoning was that the Mercedes was a Spanish warship, not a civilian merchant vessel, which meant it retained sovereign immunity even 200 years after sinking. Odyssey was ordered to return every single coin, all 17 tons, to Spain, without compensation for the millions they'd spent finding and recovering it. The treasure was loaded onto Spanish military aircraft and flown to Madrid, where it's now displayed in museums. Odyssey Marine Exploration was devastated. They'd spent years and millions of dollars only to be forced to hand over everything they found.
This case set a huge legal precedent about underwater cultural heritage and sovereign immunity. It essentially said that finding treasure doesn't automatically mean you get to keep it, especially when it comes from military vessels. The ocean floor might be full of treasure, but claiming it legally is another story entirely. Number 4. The ancient city of Neapolis, a Roman city frozen in time. It was July 21st, 365 AD when a massive earthquake struck the eastern Mediterranean, triggering a tsunami so powerful that it reshaped coastlines across the region. The Roman city of Neapolis, located in what is now Tunisia, is directly in the tsunami's path. Within hours, half the city is submerged beneath the Mediterranean Sea, and it stays there for over 1,600 years. Fast forward to 2017, an international team of archaeologists and underwater explorers are surveying the Tunisian coast when they make an extraordinary discovery: the lost section of Neapolis, almost perfectly preserved beneath the water. What they found wasn't gold or silver, but something potentially more valuable from a historical perspective: an intact Roman city. We're talking streets, buildings, shops, a monument with inscriptions, elaborate mosaic floors, walls still standing, and even fish sauce production facilities, because apparently ancient Romans were really into their fermented fish condiments. The preservation is remarkable because the city wasn't gradually abandoned or destroyed by war. It was suddenly inundated and buried under sediment, creating a time capsule. Unlike terrestrial archaeological sites that get looted, built over, or weathered away, this underwater city has been protected by the sea. Among the most significant finds are dozens of amphora, the large ceramic vessels Romans used to transport wine, olive oil, and the previously mentioned fish sauce, along with pottery, coins, and evidence of the city's layout that matches historical descriptions from ancient texts. What makes Neapolis particularly fascinating is that it confirms historical accounts that many archaeologists had questioned. Ancient writers described a tsunami in 365 AD that devastated the region, but some scholars thought these accounts were exaggerated. Finding an actual Roman city at the bottom of the sea, right where the text said it should be, proves that those ancient accounts were accurate. The Tunisian government has classified the site as an underwater archaeological park, meaning it's protected from salvage operations and will be preserved in place. This is becoming increasingly common with underwater cultural heritage, the idea that these sites are more valuable as intact historical records than as sources of artifacts to be recovered and sold. So while Neapolis might not have chests of gold, it offers something arguably more precious: a window into daily life in a Roman city frozen at the moment of disaster. Number 3. The Dmitrii Donskoi, the ghost ship with 200 tons of gold. On May 1905, the Russo-Japanese War is going badly for Russia. The Russian fleet is getting destroyed by the Japanese Navy, and one particular ship, the cruiser Dmitrii Donskoi, is heavily damaged in the Battle of Tsushima. The captain decides to scuttle the ship rather than let it be captured, and it sinks off the coast of South Korea. Now here's where the story enters legend territory. According to some accounts, the Dmitrii Donskoi was carrying the Russian fleet's gold reserves, possibly 200 tons of gold bullion being transported from the Baltic to Vladivostok to pay soldiers and buy supplies. If true, at today's gold prices, that would be worth over $12 billion. That's billion with a B. For over a century, treasure hunters have been searching for this ship. Some estimates place the treasure at 5,500 gold bars and 90 boxes of gold coins. The problem is that most historians doubt the ship was actually carrying that much gold, or any gold at all. Russian naval records don't clearly indicate a gold shipment on that vessel, and it seems unlikely they'd put their entire treasury on a warship heading into a battle zone. In 2018, a South Korean salvage company announced they'd found the Dmitrii Donskoi wreck at a depth of about 1,400 feet. They released sonar images showing what they claimed was the ship, and they insisted that they detected metal signatures consistent with a massive gold cargo. But here's the thing. As of right now, no gold has been officially recovered or verified. The salvage company claimed they were planning an operation to bring up the treasure, but then things got complicated with Russian authorities claiming the wreck as sovereign property, legal disputes over salvage rights, and questions about whether the ship actually contains any gold. So, is there really 200 tons of gold down there? Maybe. Some researchers think there could be some gold, but probably nothing like the legendary amounts. Others think it's completely mythical, a treasure-hunting fantasy based on wartime rumors and misunderstandings. What we do know is that the Dmitrii Donskoi is down there somewhere, and until someone actually opens it up and looks inside, the legend persists. It's like Schrodinger's treasure, simultaneously real and imaginary until observed. Number 2, the SS Gairsoppa, 48 tons of silver from a Nazi U-boat attack. In February 1941, World War II is raging and Britain desperately needs supplies. The SS Gairsoppa, a British cargo ship, is sailing from India to England carrying a crucial cargo, 240 tons of silver bullion, about 7 million ounces, being transported to help fund Britain's war effort. The ship is supposed to travel in a protected convoy, but due to bad weather and dwindling fuel, the captain makes the decision to break away and head for Galway, Ireland to refuel. This turns out to be a fatal mistake. On February 17th, German submarine U-101 spots the Gairsoppa sailing alone. The U-boat fires 3 torpedoes. The first 2 miss, but the third strikes the ship's hull. The Gairsoppa begins sinking immediately in the freezing North Atlantic. Of the 85 crew members, only 1 survives, a second officer who manages to reach a lifeboat and is rescued 13 days later. Everyone else dies either in the sinking or from exposure. The ship and its silver cargo sink to the bottom, 4,700 meters down, nearly 3 miles beneath the surface. For 70 years, the wreck was considered too deep to salvage. The pressure at that depth is immense, and the technology to safely recover cargo simply didn't exist. But in 2011, American salvage company Odyssey Marine Exploration, the same company that found the Mercedes, located the Gairsoppa wreck using advanced sonar and remotely operated vehicles. They sent down ROVs equipped with cutting tools and recovery systems, and what they brought up was extraordinary. Silver bars, tons of them, each one stamped with British government marks from 1940. The silver had been sitting in the cargo hold for 70 years, preserved by the cold, dark, deep ocean conditions. Between 2011 and 2013, Odyssey recovered about 48 tons of silver, roughly 1.4 million ounces, worth approximately $38 million at the time. And here's the best part. Unlike the Mercedes case, this recovery was completely legal. Odyssey had worked out an agreement with the British government beforehand, splitting the proceeds 80-20 in Odyssey's favor. But here's the thing, they only recovered about 20% of the silver cargo. There's still an estimated 192 tons of silver down there, still sitting in the wreck of the Gairsoppa, too deep and too expensive to recover profitably given current silver prices and salvage costs. So the Gairsoppa treasure is real, partially recovered, and there's still a fortune down there waiting for someone with the technology and funding to go get it. Number 1. The San Jose galleon, the holy grail of shipwrecks. On June 8, 1708, the Spanish galleon San Jose is sailing from Panama to Colombia, loaded with what might be the single most valuable cargo ever lost at sea. We're talking about treasure from the Spanish colonies, gold coins, silver bars, and emeralds, lots and lots of emeralds from Colombian mines, all being transported to Spain to fund their war efforts. The British Navy has other ideas. A squadron of British warships ambushes the Spanish fleet near Cartagena, Colombia. During the battle, the San Jose's powder magazine explodes. The ship breaks apart and sinks in minutes, taking 600 crew members and all that treasure straight to the bottom of the Caribbean, about 600 meters down. For over 300 years, treasure hunters searched for the San Jose because estimates of its cargo value are absolutely insane. Conservative estimates put it at $1 billion. More ambitious estimates suggest $17 billion. Some researchers think it could be worth even more because we don't have exact records of what the ship was carrying. Spanish colonial authorities weren't great about documentation when they were trying to smuggle treasure past tax collectors. In 2015, the Colombian government announced they'd finally found it. They released sonar images and video footage showing bronze cannons with distinctive markings that matched the San Jose. The wreck was confirmed. The treasure was real. And then the government made a decision that shocked treasure hunters worldwide. They're leaving it on the ocean floor. Colombia declared the San Jose a protected cultural heritage site. They're planning to build an underwater museum around the wreck, allowing people to view it in place rather than recover and disperse the treasure. The reasoning is that the ship and its contents tell a story about colonial history, trade routes, and maritime warfare that's more valuable intact than broken up into individual artifacts. But the legal situation is messy. An American salvage company claims they found the wreck years earlier and have rights to the treasure. Spain argues that since it was a Spanish naval vessel, they own everything on it. Indigenous groups in Colombia say the gold was stolen from their ancestors and should be returned to them, and the Colombian government insists it belongs to Colombia because it's in their territorial waters. So you have the most valuable shipwreck ever discovered, worth potentially billions of dollars, sitting at the bottom of the Caribbean while multiple parties fight over who owns it. And in the meantime, it just sits there, untouched, one of the greatest treasures in human history, frozen in legal limbo. The San Jose represents the ultimate treasure hunting paradox. Finding it was the easy part. Everything that comes after, the ownership disputes, the cultural heritage debates, the question of whether treasure should be recovered or preserved, that's where things get impossibly complicated. It's been over a decade since the discovery was announced, and we're no closer to resolving who owns it or what will happen to it. The treasure of the San Jose might be more valuable as a legend than as recovered artifacts, and that's probably the most frustrating thing about it for treasure hunters, knowing exactly where billions of dollars are sitting and not being able to touch any of it.
And there you have it, 6 of the most incredible treasures ever found beneath the sea. From tons of silver recovered from Nazi U-boat attacks, to Roman cities frozen in time, to the holy grail of shipwrecks worth billions that's sitting untouched because nobody can agree on who owns it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into underwater treasure, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Drop a comment and tell me which treasure you'd most want to find. Personally, I'm obsessed with the San Jose because knowing there's potentially $17 billion just sitting there, untouchable, is maddening. Want more killing maritime stories? Click the video on screen now where we explore 20 terrifying things recovered from the Titanic, real artifacts pulled from the ocean floor that still send shivers down your spine. Trust me, some of these discoveries are more disturbing than you can imagine. Thanks for watching, and remember, the ocean floor is the world's greatest treasure vault, but finding it doesn't mean you get to keep it.